So we have with us today Helen Walsh, a novelist, screenwriter, and producer, also the founder of Diaspora Dialogues, a project about to celebrate 20 years. Congratulations. There's going to be a gala on May 29 at 6:30 at the Design Exchange in Toronto for this special occasion. Helen, first of all, thank you for the opportunity of talking with you today. So let's start from the beginning. What exactly is Diaspora
So,
Dialogues?
and thank you, Teresa, for having me here today. So Diaspora Dialogues is an arts organization. It's a literary mentoring organization that supports emerging writers to turn their craft into a career through mentoring programs, so long form and short form mentoring programs, professional development opportunities, and then chances to publish and present their work to audiences.
And how did this idea first come to you? Was there a specific moment or need you were responding to?
I was working in the US as a producer in film, and I moved back to Canada at the end of 2004. Oh my goodness, it is 20 years ago. And I wanted to go back into the literary world, but I wanted to see where I would make an impact. I'd never had a job I didn't create. I was always some kind of art entrepreneur. So I spent 6 months essentially having lunch and coffee with people in the community, in the literary community, mostly in publishing, but also in literary mentoring organizations to discover what was really needed at the time. And it was clear that there was not an equal opportunity for writers who came from different cultural backgrounds. I mean, it's hard to imagine 20 years ago how little opportunity there was for writers of color, for Indigenous writers, for LGBT writers. I mean, it was really a very monocultural environment. And that coincided at the time when all the publishers were cutting back their own development programs. It used to be back in the day, I understand, in the 70s and 80s, that publishing houses themselves would run mentoring programs for writers who weren't yet ready to publish, but all of those had been cut. So it was a kind of perfect storm that really limited opportunity for emerging writers in Canada. And so that's where I decided I could have the most impact, was launching an organization to support them.
Mhm. You answered in part my next question. Why do you think it's important to focus on dialogue across different cultural backgrounds? And what do writers and audiences learn from each other?
Yes, I think, I mean, we all see the results of divisive rhetoric in the world right now, right? It is a time, and it has been a time for several years now, of kind of extremes on the political side, but those filter down into society. I mean, we have big problems, I think, in all societies, and certainly in Canada. And I think I've always felt really strongly that it's harder to hate somebody you know than a stranger you're willing to project something onto. And that the best way we learn about each other is through story, that ultimately it creates empathy, which creates, well-being for us personally, because it's nicer to feel positive towards others and to know and understand the people that live on our street, who live next door to each other, who marry our daughters and our sons, than it is to hate somebody.
Mhm. So you talked about radicalization and how multiculturalism might be somehow at risk with Trump, for instance. So do you think these kind of initiatives are more important now than ever?
Yeah, listen, I was a daughter of two immigrants to Canada. None of my sisters were born in Canada. This nation is, as many nations, obviously Portugal too, but Canada is a nation of immigrants to this country. And so we have to always, I think, be careful about the rhetoric that blames immigrants for whatever, right? Like you just insert crime, you insert, terrorism, you insert whatever. Now, that's not to say that never happens. Of course that happens. And we have a criminal justice system to deal with that. But I think we have to be really, really careful in society not to create a rhetoric that unfairly blames immigration for things, and that just sows division, right? That to me is more important than ever.
Can you tell us a bit more about the gala on May 29 in Toronto? Who will be there? What can guests expect from the event, and also how can they participate?
So it's going to be a fun evening. It's not one of these kind of rubber chicken, sit down, be bored kind of events. It's full of artistic events. We have readings happening and performances by actors and theater artists and writers. Of course, there's great food and, open bar. Of course, there's all of that. We're having lovely food stations and past hors d'oeuvres and all kinds of fun. There's a completely immersive content experience, the only venue in Canada that allows you to program a completely immersive experience. So it's going to be a super fun evening. There will be literary luminaries, there are political guests coming, there are the society people from the papers. There's writers and artists, but there's everybody. We are all about a kind of dialogue among all parts of society. So that's going to be at our gala, and anybody can buy a ticket to attend. There's also an early bird special until April 30th, but through our website, diasporadialogues.com, or by emailing me, Helen at diasporadialogues.com. You can find out more information about how you can attend.
So one of the main purposes of your project, Diaspora Dialogues, is to empower and to give a voice to diverse and emerging authors. We heard about two Portuguese writers involved in the project. Could you tell us a bit more about them? What was their journey like through the program?
Yes, of course, there's been far more than just the two, It is a community that we have certainly courted over the years, especially in the beginning years when we reached out really directly to all the kind of umbrella organizations that serve different communities in Canada. But more than 470 writers have participated in Diaspora Dialogues over the last 20 years as mentors or as mentees. So either they mentor people or they are the people being mentored. We are the most successful mentoring program in the country, including all MFA programs for alumni getting published. More than 150 people have gone on to come from our programs to publish the books they worked on. So Anthony and Erica were both mentors, really giving back to the community through mentoring emerging voices. Anthony, I would call a super supporter. He's been involved, Anthony Dessau, he's been involved with us since the very beginning. He really helped champion and helped us really build our youth program because he was a teacher librarian for so many years. And so he helped us design and build the programming that we do for 16 to 25-year-olds. He's going to be at the gala as my guest. I'm looking forward to hanging out with him, which is great. Erica may be as well. I haven't heard back yet on Erica, but I think the Portuguese writers, like the Portuguese community in Toronto, has been so central to the building of this city since really the 1950s. I mean, earlier as well, but clearly post-war have had such a big impact on Toronto. So it's only reasonable that, of course, they've had a big impact in our programs as well.
Can you tell us a bit more about the mentoring programs? How is the process? How long do they take? How do people participate, or online, or I don't know, in a place, in a physical place? Could you tell us a bit more about that?
I'd be delighted to. And all the information, again, is on our website for people, or they can contact me. But we run a series of different mentoring programs. So we run short form mentoring programs for really emerging writers, people who haven't tried to bang out a draft of a book. There's just got an idea, or they're working on their first story or poem. And those are 1 month residencies. So you just apply. We have 4 intakes a year. And they're all free. All of our programs are free for emerging writers, and we pay industry rates for all the mentors. So we really make sure financially that we're benefiting everybody. So you just apply, and then you get selected by our jury. And then you work one-on-one with a writer for a month. And that depends on you. So if you are both in the same city, then you may meet up in person, and otherwise it is via Zoom. Our long form mentoring programs, which we have for the greater Toronto region, but we also have one nationally too, gives you 6 months one-on-one with a mentor like Anthony or Larry Hill, Lawrence Hill. I mean, really great mentors across the country, Shyam Salvadori, and that you have to have had like a first draft of substantially a full manuscript. And we work in fiction, poetry, creative nonfiction, young adult fiction, and children's fiction as well. In addition to that, we run a really fulsome dramaturgy program. So if you're a playwright in residence, we also can connect you for 6 months at a time with a theater company to work on your first main stage play.
Sounds amazing. So as you said, over the past 20 years, Diaspora Dialogues has mentored dozens of writers, from novelists to playwrights and screenwriters. What impact are you most proud of?
I think, really it's leveling the playing field, which has always been, at the heart of why I wanted to launch this. It was about fairness, and that I feel like talent, if you have talent and you're willing to work hard, you should have a chance, right? It shouldn't be about who you know or whether your family can support you to write. Like there really should be opportunity for you if you have the talent and you have the hard work. And that's why we focus both on helping you create your craft, but also helping you create a career. We have a very robust professional development program. We connect you with publishers and agents. When your book comes out, we host events for you. We help market. Like we really take a 360 view. So I'm really proud of the 150 books that have come out of our programs, the 10 plays that have come out of our programs that have main stage production. 2 of them at Soul Pepper in Toronto right now are both DD developed plays, including Kim's Convenience, which of course went on to be a TV show too. Our alumni have been nominated or won every major literary award in Canada, including the Governor General's Award, the Giller Prize, the Griffin Prize for Poetry, City of Toronto Book Award. So all of that's really important, but to be honest, like in my heart is when somebody holds up their book and says, my life dream has come true. That's what's the most meaningful for me.
What do you think that these emerging writers are looking for? Fame, money? I'm not sure if the money part is very possible in this industry, but what do you feel is their ultimate goal?
I think they want to be seen and heard. I think nobody expects really to make money. Very few writers in Canada can actually support themselves.
I think it's all over the place, actually.
Yeah. But I think at our heart, don't we, like as humans, really mostly want to be understood, like by the people in our lives? We want to explain ourselves. We want to understand others. We want to leave something behind. If we're lucky to have children, that's part of it. And I think really at its core, I mean, having really, I've read thousands of submissions. I would probably say 10,000 submissions over the years to our programs. And then I also read for the Ontario Arts Council. 95% of them are people who want to understand the origin story. More than they want to understand their children, they want to understand where they came from, who their parents were, because there's always this unknowable gap, right, to who our parents are. We can't fully ever know that. But I think our origin story, whether we're immigrants or not, our origin story is what we want to understand. And the only way we understand that is through writing, I find.
Very interesting. You are also a writer yourself. Your first novel, Full Focus, was named one of the best thrillers of the year by Kirkus Reviews. And now we hear you've got a second novel on the way. So can you give us any details about this new work?
Yes, it's coming out next year. And it's a standalone novel that takes my protagonist, Jane, who is a director of a film festival in Toronto, and it takes her to the Bahamas, where she's helping start a new film festival. But her estranged husband, who's a wrist addictive money trader she left many, many years ago, follows her down there and ends up implicated in a murder. And so she finds herself kind of racing for the truth against a cast of characters who would kill to keep their secrets safe.
Sounds very interesting.
I'm actually writing it right now as a TV adaptation at the same time.
Wow.
So, I mean,
Okay.
yeah, it's fun. It's
Maybe
been
I
fun.
might see it on TV.
Yeah.
Helen, finally, is there any message you would like to leave to our Portuguese community?
Well, a really great big thank you, of course, for producing such amazing artists and audiences, and for the contribution to my city of Toronto, my hometown of Toronto, and to the country. You know, it's a remarkable community, and it's really just a message of thanks.
Thank you very much, Helen. And don't miss the Gala Diaspora Dialogues on May 29th at 6:30 at the Design Exchange in Toronto. Thank you so much, Helen.
Thank you so much, Teresa. Lovely to chat.
Thank you.